Hi, one SBR videos. I'm Peter Loshak. It's week 13 in college football, and this is our always highly anticipated call with Steve from collegefootballwinning.com, one of the absolute best in the business when it comes to college football handicapping. He covers one game with us each week in depth, and this week he's chosen Wisconsin at Minnesota, an interesting game. Steve, thanks for being back with us. Minnesota, 4 straight covers after having been a bad bet in the beginning of the year. And then Wisconsin, of course, coming off of a home loss to Northwestern, where they were a double-digit home favorite. There's no total on this game. Minnesota is right now a 2.5-point home underdog, though. Interesting that you chose this game. We're all waiting to hear how you analyze this one and what your recommended play is. Steve, tell us what you'd like to tell us about this game.
Sure. Thank you, Peter. Well, this is Minnesota, Wisconsin. This is a big rivalry. In fact, it's the longest played rivalry in the FBS. So what these guys are playing for is Paul Bunyan's axe. Wisconsin has had the axe the last 11 seasons. So that brings me to motivation. Minnesota obviously wants that axe, but they're also playing for bowl eligibility. They need to win this game straight up to be bowl eligible. It's senior day, so it's the final home game there in Minnesota. Former head coach, so the guy who was forced to retire due to for medical reasons this season, head coach Jerry Kill, he is going to be in attendance for this game. This is huge for Minnesota. Wisconsin, as you said, coming off of a very deflating, very disappointing home loss on their senior day last week against Northwestern. I think in terms of motivation, without a doubt in my mind, Minnesota has the advantage there. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at a straight-up record of 8-3 for Wisconsin this season versus a 5-6 Minnesota team. But Wisconsin's 8 straight-up wins were against teams whose combined record, straight-up record, is 26-63. So there's not a single win that Wisconsin has against a winning program this season. Now, Minnesota doesn't have a winning record yet. They are also 5-6. But they have played, without a doubt, a much tougher schedule than Wisconsin. So let's take a look again at Wisconsin and Minnesota here. Wisconsin's rushing offense. You won't believe that I'm telling you this, Peter, if you didn't know it yourself.
Okay.
Their rushing offense, they average 3.76 yards per carry.
I don't believe it.
It's Wisconsin that we're talking about.
I don't believe it.
I knew you wouldn't. So if we go back last season, 2014, they were averaging 6.92 yards per carry.
That I believe.
Yeah, they were unbelievable, as they should be at Wisconsin. The year before, 2013, 6.62 yards per carry.
That I believe.
So, yeah, they've been fantastic. And so we've come to expect huge offensive linemen, a great couple of running backs in the backfield for Wisconsin. This season, it is completely different. There are good reasons for this. It's not just a slide in their running game. I mean, it is a complete collapse in their running game. Good reasons for it. They are starting this season 3 redshirt freshmen on the offensive line for this game. Their stud running back, Corey Clement, who is supposed to be the heir apparent to Melvin Gordon and had proved himself the last 2 seasons, he had to have sports-related or a sports hernia surgery this season. He has played sparingly in 3 games, and he is not himself. He absolutely is not himself. So he's been unable to get anywhere close to 100%. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Wisconsin has no depth at running back. None. So you might think, well, with no depth at running back, no running game at Wisconsin to speak of, especially compared to previous seasons, I guess they go to their passing game, right? So what's the deal with their quarterback? Quarterback is Joel Stabby. How good is Joel Stabby? This year, he's thrown for 10 passing touchdowns, and he's also thrown for 10 interceptions. So you must be saying, well, that's not very good. Well, the reality, Peter, is even worse than that. In his 7 Big Ten games, Big Ten conference games this year, he's thrown just 3 touchdown passes and 8 interceptions. Now, Minnesota, and you said this, they've not lost a game against the spread since mid-October when they played Nebraska. Their against the spread winning streak here corresponds perfectly with that compelled medical retirement of head coach Jerry Kill. So this is a motivated group, an inspired group. And speaking of the spread, the last 11 years in this rivalry, so in other words, as long as Wisconsin has held the axe in this rivalry, the home team in this rivalry was an underdog exactly 3 times, just like Minnesota is right now this year. That home dog is 3-0 against the spread. Now, the last time in this, you might be looking, sometimes you look at line direction, and a lot of people do. In the line direction, this opened most places at Wisconsin favored by 2 points. Now it's moved. They're just a half a point, favored by 2.5 points. Last time in this rivalry that the line direction, the movement indicated the correct side was 8 games ago. So there's no part of you that should be thinking, oh, that little line direction looks like Wisconsin's the right side. I wouldn't look at that at all. It's been dead wrong. So my conclusion, Peter, as of right now, I like Minnesota. And since it's at 2.5 right now, I know you don't like when I say this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I would buy the half point to get it to +3 as long as I can get that half point at -125 or less. So get Minnesota up to +3, but only by paying -125. And in case you're wondering, or someone watching this is wondering, in games this year for collegefootballwinning.com, in games involving Minnesota or Wisconsin, we are 4-1 against the spread.
All right, Steve from collegefootballwinning.com making a very compelling argument for Minnesota. Right now, the market-wide line is 2.5. Steve says buy up to 3 at -125. This is what Steve does, college football winning. Steve has a long-term record of success at his website. Steve, tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you, Peter. At collegefootballwinning.com, all we do is college football betting analysis. We're a company found, even in the offseason, we're a company founded on making betting recommendations algorithmically. We call those algorithmic betting recommendations our formula. The formula lifetime coming into this season, 62.75% against the spread. So far this season, we're in week 13. We have had just 3 losing weeks. And one of them was week 1, where we hardly give out any betting recommendations. We went 1 and 2. So for us, for our full weeks of college football, starting from week 2 on, we've had just 2 losing weeks. So come to collegefootballwinning.com. We offer a 100% money-back guarantee, even if you join us now through the end of bowl season. You can enter coupon code SBR10, that's SBR10, and you'll get 10% off of any membership that we're currently offering.
All right, so it sounds like your handicapping skills are like Wisconsin's running game. The major difference, though, is that you have been able to maintain your success this year while Wisconsin has not. Thanks so much for joining us once again, Steve, and we will talk to you next week.
Thank you, Peter. Talk to you next week. Happy Thanksgiving.